I don't think there's really a guy in the world at 86 kilos that could beat me in wrestling right now. It's hard to say exactly where he's at. I think that he's good. He's got skills, but his biggest thing that's going to crush him, especially against a fight against me, is, dude, you're going to get tired. Like, you're going to go like this, and I'm going to go like this as the fight goes on. You're not going to take me down, which is your best attribute. So you're going to have to strike with me. I'm probably going to be able to take you down. Maybe I don't hold you down on the ground forever, but I can hold you down there for a little bit. And the longer the fight goes, the worse it's going to get. So here's the difference, between Hamzat and I. But you look at me when I go out to fight, zero emotion, no emotion. I'm competing. I'm here to win. Him, he's charged up. He's screaming. He's yelling. He's coming out. But guess what? If you're going to fight and beat the guys that are the best in the world, you got to do it with your brain. What separates us is I have no emotion going out to compete, and I compete smart. He goes 100% from the jump. Yeah. And I think that's allowed him to have these highlights and to throw a guy down like Robert Whittaker and choke him out. But me and Robert Whittaker are two different. That's not the same. That's not the same thing. Yeah. He's not doing that to me. There's zero chance. I guarantee you there's 0.000% chance that he's ever going to do that to me.
Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's YP Gang, YP Nation, YP Boxing, YBP MMA. Coming at y'all with the late upload, late night talks. Just got doing a big assignment. So coming out here just to vent a little bit. I'm scrolling through Twitter. I'm seeing, different videos coming out, from different, sources on Twitter. People talking about different topics. Obviously, the UFC's heating back up again. We have the Amanda Hebos card coming up with Mackenzie Dern, two beautiful women. We got, Makhachev, Saryukian, and then the UFC 311. So, we got Umar and Marab. So, people are starting to get back into the groove of things. TKO, the brand, just everything UFC related is heating back up. So, we're starting to get, the holidays are over. Now it's back to UFC and regular scheduled programming. So people are getting to talking, and obviously, Hamzat always comes up. Bo Nickel always comes up with his podcast, and y'all saw the clip that I just played. Bo Nickel believes that, and it's nothing wrong with believing. It just irritates me that Bo. Okay, this is gonna be a crazy rant. So Bo essentially in the video saying, I will beat him as the fight goes on. He will be going up, and Hamza will be going down. The problem with his assessment here, with that fight, how that's gonna go, is Bo, you sat there with Paul Craig, and you didn't use He's talking about his ace. Hamzat's ace is wrestling, and Hamza has a tendency to wrestle. He will probably wrestle against Bo, successful or unsuccessful. Bo, you don't wrestle when you're supposed to. Bo really, for as good as a wrestler as he is, he really hasn't proven against the guy that you want him to, prove his grappling against. Show that you are the best at, wrestling. Show that you're the best at grappling. Show that your wrestling can neutralize the best guys in jiu-jitsu, that you can use that. Look at what Brendan Allen did to Paul Craig. He took him down. He ground and pounded him. He subbed him. Bo Nickel has no finishing upside against a guy like Hamzat. All the finishing upside is on the Hamzat side. So when he sits up there, he's talking about, as the fight goes on. I know he's taking this disciplined approach, decision approach. I hate that out of Bo. I hate that so much. You sat there and he played a very dangerous game against Paul Craig. That fight could have easily been scored for Paul Craig. I saw a lot of people scoring that fight for Paul Craig, in fact. Sitting up there and taking the path to least resistance. So is the path to least resistance against the dominant grapplers at middleweight, a Kyle Bahalio? Are you going to sit there and strike with Kyle Bahalio? You're going to get knocked out. Kyle can do that against Jared Cannonier because he's a competent striker. He has big power. Bo has big power, but, the striking ability to actually make it happen and, the constant volume, that Kyle has, it just doesn't match. He's just not on that level to do it. So you have to mix the martial arts. The fact that he just chose to not even shoot a takedown, not even give him the thought. Literally 0 attempted, 0 successful takedowns in that fight. That fight astonished me. I'm just sitting there what is this guy doing? It was Mike Malott-esque. It's you have this Mike Malott's a whole nother thing. I don't even want to talk about that guy. That guy's interesting, but it wasn't a fraud check though. It was just literally you just handicapped yourself with your best attribute. Why are you fighting like this? I just don't understand. Your whole thing is that you're the dominant wrestler coming into the UFC, and I understand getting that fight time, going out there, but like, why not? That is the perfect time. If you want to test your striking against a striker, go ahead and do that. But I think this was a really good opportunity, even though it's good to go out there and get rounds and strike it. That's why you train. That's why you go out there and you practice. That's for training camp. When you go out there, you should be trying to show, like, do what Brendan Allen did. Take down Paul Craig. You can't tell. He probably finishes him if he takes him down. But his unwillingness to grapple with a guy like Paul Craig, what makes him think that he's going to be successful grappling against Khamzat Chimaev? He probably won't even shoot. And if that fight's a 5-round decision fight, you're not Usman. So why do you think that all of a sudden, as the fight goes on, Usman's a way better boxer than Bo Nickel. So, like, the problems that Usman was having him showing, the shots that he was landing, Bo's not doing any of that, like, at all. Hamza has all the finishing upside, all the knockout power, all the, the knockout ability, sub-ability. Bo, if he does get Hamza down, I don't see him, like, grabbing for... He probably just going to go down there and try to, control him on the ground, whereas Hamza's the way more dangerous fighter. It's just... I understand the sentiment, but it's just, like... That Paul Craig fight opened this loophole for so much BS, because like I said, like, if you're not gonna grapple against Paul Craig, like, since when is Paul Craig such a scary guy on the ground? To me, he's just, like, after, like, maybe 1 or 2 rounds, he's relegated to being like a Herbert Burns, or like a these like a Kron Gracie. Like, you just hit him a couple times while he's on the ground. He's obviously gonna be dangerous off his back, but you hit him a couple times off his back, he's not going to be as dangerous. And with a dominant wrestler, with someone's they're accepting that bottom position, you can win that fight very easily. I think that's why he was a big favorite. That's why he was minus 1,000 or whatever. He wasn't minus 1,000 because we thought he was going to go out there and try to strike him for 3 rounds. If that was the case, it would have been a pick'em, because Bo literally didn't do much of anything, and neither did really Paul Craig. So it's good that he got his, little, experience in there. Hamza has 10 times that, and has actually shown competent striking. I know I sound like I'm hating this video, but I don't understand what Bo has said. And this I've been waiting to talk about. I know this is kind of late. I've been waiting to talk about that fight specifically. I need to do more recaps, like, as it's close to the time. But the video that he came out with, and, like, all his stuff being like, well, I'm proud of this performance. I think, and, like, in theory, as I was thinking about a game plan for that fight, because we think about the fights, think about, like, bets and potential ways to go about the fight, or how is Bo Nickel looking at it? Why is he a minus 1,000 favorite? You think to yourself, like, well, if Bo was... I was thinking to myself, like, if Bo was smart, maybe he just goes out there and strikes with him. But then I'm like, if he goes out there and strikes with him, is he the better striker than Paul Craig? I didn't really think so, and it showed in the fight that he wasn't that much better. He was, like, Paul Craig wasn't piecing him up. I mean, it was pretty even on the feet. So it wasn't... I don't believe that was not as the fight has played out. I think you just take the chance that maybe you get caught with a submission in round 1, but if you're grappling and wrestling is that good enough, and you have good ground and pound, which is something that I think a lot of guys need to improve on, like, just going out there and not necessarily being submission first, ground and pound. See, look at how John Jones, what he did to Stipe Miocic. You eliminate any sub threat if you can go out there and take somebody down, land some heavy elbows to the chest, body, and then to the head. Like, Stipe was, not only was he super old, but you do that to anybody, they're just not going to be as, witful on the ground, and as clever with what they're doing. They're not going to be as, the senses aren't going to be as up, to pull something, sneaky on the ground. You do that to them, they're going to be thinking about the elbows and all the shots that you're landing on them, instead of thinking about the submission that they could pull. So, obviously, there's exceptions to that, but Bo, if he could prioritize that, but he's not that, So, that's all I really got for the video. I just thought that was a really interesting, just Bo's, like, observation of how he views the fight versus how the fans saw it. I understand there are certain performances that I think the fans, they crap on the fighters a lot for, where, maybe it was a smart performance, but I don't see this as smart, because, Bo, your ace is the wrestling. So why not go out there and prove that your wrestling can compete with the best guy? his whole trope. I mean, this is the fight that he always talks about Hamza. Hamza don't even talk about him. He just brings up Hamza randomly. If you're gonna beat Hamza, I mean, how do you expect to go out there and take down Hamza? It has to just be off pure exhaustion, because I don't, and that's the thing too. It's like he said that they're saying like, oh, like I'm gonna go out there and I'll strike Hamza, and that Hamzat's like cardio is just like a sure thing to get shot. I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if it is. Like, I don't, because if they're just going out there and strike, let's say he fails like 1-2 takedowns and they're just striking. You know, you were struggling to strike against Paul Craig. What do you think Hamza's gonna do to you? Like, this is not, you're not Usman. Usman's one of the, you know, better boxers that we've seen. And he has the lighter man skill, you know, coming from a weight class up, being at welterweight. I guess Hamza has that too. But Bo doesn't have that yet. He's not as experienced. So just a lot of assumptions made with that. I just think he needs to, you know, humble himself a little bit. Obviously, he's he's not even a young guy, actually. I think he's like 29 or 31. So, but he's new in the game. You gotta talk yourself up. I'm never gonna be against the guy who has confidence in themselves, obviously. So shout out to Bo Nickel. I think he brings a new wrinkle to MMA that we've seen before, I guess, with, you know, guys like Daniel Cormier, but it's just cool to see that, you know, those dominant wrestling forces that, you know, that have been at the top of their game and what they can pose. I think it's really cool that we have someone like Hamza at the top, and then we have Bo Nickel on the rise, you know, undefeated, doing what he's doing, you know, the 2 wins on Dana White's Contender Series, just everything he brings. Penn State, his fan base, you know, he brings something different that it's the fanfare around him. I think we've seen a lot of good wrestlers around him, but he's the top of the top, and then he chose, instead of going to the Olympics, instead of going harder in the wrestling, you know, getting more accomplishment, he chose to go to MMA. You know, it would be like if I don't know what the best comp would be, but if, like, I don't know, Spencer Lee decided to, I don't know, like, pursue MMA instead of, like, you know, go for Worlds and do that. So yeah, I'm not too deep into the wrestling, but I know Spencer Lee. But yeah, that's all I really got for y'all today, though. I thought it was a interesting clip that Bo Nickel shared. I want to be more consistent for 2025, so you might just see these yap sessions. But I mean, to me, they're not really yap sessions, man. Listen, watch the whole video and hear my opinion. You know, I got a lot of interesting insight. So, you know, hopefully y'all found this interesting to watch. Found it you know, cool thing to listen to, or maybe if y'all just watched it right now, you know, this could be the last video y'all watch before y'all go to bed. So, you know, good night or good morning if you're watching this in the morning, or good afternoon. This is YBP. And peace out. You already know what it is.